Welcome back to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Hellspawn, issue 3, Deliver Us. On the cover, Fae and Supay stand back to back in the center of a massive swarm of small demons. The sky above them is purple and swirling. In the swirls, we see the shape of two massive claws, almost as if reaching down towards our heroes. We turn the page and our story begins.
The first panel of this issue is this blue and purple clouded sky. We've got these dark, ominous clouds just rolling over the landscape. And the landscape is this desert with craggy cliffs and a lot of sharp angled stones. And it's all done in oranges and pinks and reds. And then our next panel down below that, we see a overhead shot of the ground, and in the middle of it we see just the slightest amount of pink with motion blur, and spreading out almost across the full panel as far as we can see, we see these little creatures that stand about 1.5 feet tall, these very bulbous little heads, and our next panel brings us closer and we see Fae being jumped on by just hundreds of these creatures. And then our next panel is closer to this dog pile. We can no longer see Fae, but we start seeing pink energy. And tell me what it looks like when you charge your burn here.
I put my hands out to shatter the air in that breaking glass look that I use for my skill, my magic. And as I put my hands out, creatures kind of grab them and kind of pull them down. So what normally looks like a bunch of glass pulling in towards me kind of just gets knocked akimbo, and the glass kind of just scatters through the air. So because I failed that roll, I'm going to mark 3 conditions. So angry, definitely. I think guilty. I imagine that there was probably a plan that I'm probably failing on right now. And insecure. I don't think I'm afraid. I think that's the one thing. I knew what I was getting into when I came down here. Yeah, so I have 2 burn to spend. I'm going to go ahead and use... I'm going to use Overcharge.
Okay.
So I'm going to spend both of those 2 burn, and just with these shards of glass, just send these shards of glass flying and just knock as much of this horde back as I can. Just send them back and away from me.
Cool. What's it look like?
So I have there's one on each arm right now, kind of pulling me down as I'm going to cast my spells. So I'm going to take my arms and just cross them across each other and just knock the 2 off. And as I do, it's just going to send waves of glass passing across my body. I think we get a couple panels of the close up on me as I do this and push the things off, and the glass passing in front of me, and we see because the glass is the broken reality, so we see refractions of the world we've been in, and tiny pieces of memory and such on these shards of glass as they pass me. Probably pieces of panels from other comics that I've been in.
Yeah, I like that.
And then they just send hundreds of shards of glass just flying, and just
Is it in a specific direction? Is it a full circle?
It's they're sending to the sides of me, so it's sending out shot in either direction.
Oh, cool.
In a wall. So as the glass splits through them, and just passes through, and it's going. Each piece of glass goes through multiple.
Oh yeah, them. No, I'm imagining this is if we were looking at the overhead shot, you're clearing out just giant chunks, 30, 40 feet deep on each side.
Mm-hmm. And as it passes through them, it's little purple flames. As each of them explodes, essentially there's a wall of purple fire on either side of me. And I think I do enough motion with my hands that I have to clear out in front of me a little bit. So there's small circle around me, and then giant, almost batwing shapes out to either side of that. Cleared out. And I think I kind of put my hands out in front of me, and I'm all right, kids, let's go.
Cool. And I think we're gonna, in one of those side areas that you've cleared out, we get the shot with that just the bit of purple flame, and then them just kind of poofing, and we have a small pile of them still kind of dogpiling, and I think at that point Supay just, while underneath this pile of little demon things, pushes up and starts throwing them off. Flame tendrils aplenty, swinging at the demons around them.
Cool.
I'm gonna roll to directly engage.
Yeah. Cool. So on a 7 to 9, you can choose one.
I think at this point I am going to create an opportunity.
Cool.
You can clear this out however you want, but the opportunity I'm trying to create is getting us back together, or like right to each other kind of deal. That's what I'm aiming for. To try and get closer to Fae.
I think I'm gonna kind of like see you in the pile in like the Batwing flame shape and like back up towards you as the hordes are coming towards me. And I'm gonna be like over your shoulder, and as you like duck, I'm gonna throw just a telekinetic energy blast and just try to like send this dog pile that's like now like crawling over itself to get back towards you. Try to just like send them sprawling to clear a way for you.
Okay. And I think that just happens.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I think we've got a brief reprieve, as in 5 to 10 seconds till they collapse in on us again. And I think we are, both standing in this little clearing. Supay looks at you, is like, okay, this is getting a little overwhelming. I know you said not to make portals, but maybe a portal?
Hold on. We can handle this. Just give me a second.
And I think the next panel on that, after that line, is another like pulled out panel, and we just see just the immenseness of this absolute horde of these things. I think we should enter battle against the dangerous spell.
Yeah, let's do that.
Who's the leader?
I think I am.
Yeah, I think so too.
I have influence over Supay.
Yes, you do. What is...
Can I give a purpose
sure.
for this? I think we did research on the HR chain, because I still have it. And I think we tracked it to, like, where in hell it's from. And I think the best way to confront our demon is to go, like, confront the demons. I think the goal was to do recon, and now I think we're just trying to, like, get out.
Yeah, that's good for me.
Yeah.
I will point out, I don't think we can portal out of hell. I think we have a specific place, like, spell we use to open a portal to come in. I don't think just the standard doomed portals can rip you out of this dimension.
Cool.
It's too easy of an out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think in that pulled back shot where we see just the massive horde, I think on the far side of this horde, like if the two of us are on kind of the left side of the panel, on the very far right panel, we see like there's a like twisted iron spire rising up into the air, which I think is where we think the chains came from.
Cool.
We're not sure, but I think that's where we've...
That's 3 now.
So your purpose is specifically...
Get out.
Supay doesn't want to leave without the chains.
I think I want to get out of this fight. I think I want to, like, avoid as much entanglement as possible and get back to being stealthy.
Okay, yeah, I'm on board with that. That seems about right. Do you mistrust the leader or the team?
Nope.
Ill prepared or off balance?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so in this case, yeah.
So we're at 3-team.
Cool.
I'm going to be like, hey, remember that thing you said that you did with the spaceship?
Yeah?
Cool. Think you can carry someone when you have legs of fire?
It might burn, but let's try it.
Cool. As I start to like jump towards your arms, I'm like, wait a second. I can fly. And my wings unfurl behind me. And you see, because you know about the demon, you see the stained glass broken wings, not the stained glass pretty like butterfly wings that everyone else sees. So these wings unfurl and just looks like shards of glass just hanging off my shoulder blades and hanging into the air. And I just like launch into the air. And then I'm like, all right, kid, let's go.
And I think, we get Supay just starting to burst out these massive amounts of flame tentacles out of like their chest and picking up off the ground. I think for Supay that's an unleash, though.
Cool.
I don't think that's something they can just naturally do.
Go ahead and roll to unleash your powers.
6.
Cool. I'm going to use a team to help you get to that to a 7.
Can I narrate how that happens?
Yeah.
We see Supay starting to falter, and then they look up. I don't think Fae is actively helping, is what I'm saying. And I think Supay looks up at Fae, and then we get a panel where the flame tendrils that were supporting Supay, that I think they were just sinking down on, just from the starting at the chest and going downward, just slowly turn into that fragmented glass look, and it starts running across on those. And I'm going to mark a condition.
Cool.
It's temporary. It's unstable or temporary.
Cool. I think as you're running on the stained glass fire tendrils, I think because it's glass, the hordes start climbing up it.
That works.
So as you're running, all of a sudden there are like demons like rushing up your legs at you.
Cool.
And then I'm like, okay, Supay, fire off for a sec.
God, I hope you've got a plan. And Supay just, all the tendrils just dissipate. It drops.
I'm going to fly down and telekinetically just pick you up.
Cool.
Which I think is well within my powers.
Yeah, I think so too.
As I'm like lifting you past me and be like, faith, trust, and a little pixie dust, bitch. And I think we're both going to just like fly together. And like I'm straining a little bit, but not enough that I'm like super, super concerned. It's not to the point where I'm going to mark a doom track.
Right.
It's not to the point where I'm going to mark a doom track. It's the point where like I'm used to like lifting people and like putting people from one place to another, but we're flying across a battlefield essentially.
Yeah.
And I think the hordes are all underneath us, just like racing under us.
Yeah. And then I think we've made it about halfway. Are we heading to the tower?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We made it about halfway to the tower, and the horde underneath us just stops. We start flying over less and less of these little demons. And then I think looking back, we see the demons starting to pile on top of each other. And we get a couple really nasty close-up panels where they just kind of melt into each other and start forming into something different and much, much larger. But we don't really see what that is yet. Supay, like, looking back, it's like, hey, Faye, I think we might have incoming.
I'm going to turn and I'm going to be like, great. Spectacular. All right. You're going to fall for a sec. Don't worry. I'll probably catch you. And I'm going to just telekinetically grab, like, huge piles of this, like, ash and, like, ashen dirt and just fling it up in front of us so we're obscured by it. So it just, like, hides us from view for a second. And then I'm going to dive down, grab you, and we're going to portal so we're hidden behind, like near the tower, but, like, behind, like, a rock pile near the tower.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, give us how that portal looks.
Yeah, so we throw the ash up in the air, and it's hiding us, and you're plummeting towards the ground. I fly down, grab you, and as...
Actually, I want to unleash on the ash. I want to unleash on the ash,
cool.
Actually.
It's a 5. Can I tell you how that goes wrong?
If you have ideas, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to throw that up. And as you're dropping, I like toss the ash up in the air. And I think I just cover Supay. And now I can't see Supay, but the demon can still see me.
I like that.
And I'm like, hey, guys. And like hands on hips, like grinning at the demon. Looking at the demon like, no, this massive demon conglomeration heading towards me.
And I think we've got this massive demon, and then it starts to stand up. Yeah, I think we've got like Faye floating maybe like 15 feet above the head of the demon, and we've got the smoke screen fly up. Supay just disappears into it with a little what? Then Faye kind of turns and looks at the demon's like, hey, and then the demon starts to stand up, and once it fully stands, it's standing about 20 feet over Faye, and it's just a vaguely humanoid, but made of just shifting demon flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll see, like, a set of eyes just kind of on the arm, slowly just kind of drift across the body. Like, I think it's just a constantly shifting amalgamation of just demon bits in the vague shape of a giant humanoid. How high up were you imagining flying?
About 30 feet.
Cool. So that makes it about 50 feet tall. I like that I'm literally just like, hey, how tall do you want to be?
Yeah, no, I was thinking it was about 50 feet tall, too. So we've got this, like, massive flesh golem demon
and then
shape.
it just swings a fist at you. And I think we get a couple panels of this fist flying at you. And we see, like, little demon arms coming out of the knuckles of the fingers and, like, mouths biting as this... And it just socks you in the side and you go flying. Go ahead and mark a condition. Do you want to stay in the air or do you want to fully hit the ground? Mechanically, the consequence is going to be the same, but like, where do you picture yourself? You definitely get thrown by this.
I think I hit the ground. I hit the ground. I hit on my side, and I kind of like go rolling, and I like catch myself on my back, and I put my hands on the ground, and I'm going to charge my burn again.
Okay. While you're charging, sorry, what is the visual on you charging your burn?
All the reality around my hands starts to shatter. So my hands are on the ground behind me, and the, like, ashen ground just starts to become that, like, splintered glass look.
Cool. And, like, while we get the panel of you on the ground, charging up your burn, we are also getting the onomatopoeia of boom, 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 as this thing is just running towards you. So go ahead and roll to charge.
That's a 10.
Hey!
All right, so I get a charge 3, hold 3 burn. Cool. I'm gonna unleash my powers. I'm pissed off now. I'm not gonna mark angry because I haven't done anything to mark angry yet.
Yeah, you're not the big angry.
Oh, no, I lied. I marked angry. I was already angry.
Okay, so what do you do?
I marked afraid when you told me to take a condition for when you punched me in the face. So I'm angry. I don't even, you don't even see me push myself off the ground. I think just, the shattered glass that is now completely underneath me in this, blanket just, lifts me up. And I'm, floating in this cloud of shattered glass. And my eyes go pink, demon-style pink. And I just put my hands out, and I'm like, this ends now. The glass is going to be aiming to slice the demons apart, to, knock individual demons out of the demon flesh golem. And I'm just going to put my hands out and just send, this massive wave of this shattered glass at this 50-foot flesh golem.
Cool. That sounds like a direct engage.
That's a 10.
Cool. Pick 2.
I'm going to resist or avoid their blows, and I'm going to create an opportunity for my allies.
Right. If you wanted to do what you were originally intending to try and do, which is, break the form of this, you can take something from them. You
Take
can,
their form?
It wouldn't be all of the demons, but this blast can knock a lot of the individual demons into individuals.
Cool.
And very much reduce its size.
Cool.
If you want.
Yeah, fuck Supay. I'm gonna resist or avoid their blows and take something from them.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take the giant form of the golem from them.
Cool. And what does this look like? Right up until you hit the thing. I'll take over narration at that point.
So my eyes are pink, and I think my hair, which is traditionally in the hood, I think the hood has fallen off, and my hair is just kind of lifting itself off my head. And so we've got my dark hair with a one strand of pink in it, just kind of floating up. Very, very superhero, floating around my head. And I push my hands out, and the shards of glass just whip through the air. Because this is the fractured reality thing, I think we see the glass as it's flying through. And as one of the pieces of glass passes in front of the panel, I think we see a flashback to Supay and I coming up with this plan.
I like that.
And then I think we jump into a flashback panel there.
Yeah, cool. And I think this is set in your sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
I think Supay is probably with a bunch of extension cords, because I don't see your sanctuary having a lot of accessible outlets.
No. The most accessible outlets are probably through... And we probably have a few. We probably wired it with a few. But, I imagine that there are extension cords running, through the floorboards of my mom's office in the library, down in through the tunnels of the caves into.
Yeah. So I think we get Supay setting up... Yeah, the computer that was in Darkmark / Dark Rider's hideout.
Mm-hmm. I think it's clearly branded with Darkmark. It's, clearly Darkmark's colors, and, it doesn't match anything else in this sanctuary.
Yeah. And I think we get, we open up the panel, Supay finishing that out, booting it up. Okay, so, yeah, at least we have some of the files that Dark Rider didn't get to delete. So that's something. How's that spell coming? And I think we cut over to a panel of Fae.
Before we cut over, I think, Fae has put the book down, and Fae comes over and is like, you would have had no way to know that. He hid that secret from everyone. We've all worked with Darkmark before, and none of us had any idea.
I'd go and roll to comfort support.
Perfect. That's
Plus mundane.
It's a 3.
We get that, and I think we get a panel where it's just the exact same panel, just with no text. And it's just this moment of just utter silence. And Supay kind of looks down, shakes their head, and goes, how's the spell coming? And I'm going to have Supay mark guilty.
Cool. I'm going to levitate the book over to me, and I'm like, I think I've got it, but it's going to be pretty intense, especially for you, it looks like.
I think it'll be okay. I think our powers are compatible enough. So I think we cut back. We get the panel of the glass shards going through the large demon, and I think we're just seeing big chunks of it ripped off, and as they're falling through the air, they are turning back into the smaller demons, which hit the ground. Some of them, poof into that purple flame. Some of them get back up and start trying to climb up the big demon again. And then we get a panel with, I'm imagining this is just a continuous barrage. Like, you're continuing to shoot these shards of glass as all this is happening. And I think we get some panels of Supay running up the glass, like leaping from shard to shard and like behind the demon, and then coming in like toward like across the shards of glass towards the back of the demon. Yeah, Fae sees this. What do you do? And I think at current, the large demon is still getting kind of held back by this continuous barrage. But yeah, we're seeing you chose to resist their blows, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be like, look up at him and be like, smoke him up. And then I'm gonna like throw my arms back and let out that same burst of fire that Supay often has out of my chest. And like making eye contact, be like, shoot your fire and meet my fire halfway. Like we're gonna like kind of blast through the center of this thing from either direction.
Awesome. So when you perform a coordinated fighting maneuver with your other half, say who takes the lead and who assists. It sounds like you're taking the lead.
Mm-hmm.
The leader rolls the adult move, overwhelm a vulnerable foe. The assistant marks a condition. Roll plus danger.
I roll plus danger?
I think you're leading this attack, yeah.
Cool.
So I think Supay in the back of this is also forming this big demon face ball, as they often do. But it is very much more...
That's a 6. Can you help me with that?
Yeah. I think it's shards of fire. Like they're definitely fire, but they're like in the same structure that the shards of glass are normally drawn.
Cool.
And I think I could just use a team.
Yeah, I think that you're helping
to push
me.
it up to a 7.
Cool. So that's
on
a
7 to 9, choose 2.
I'm going to hurt my foe more than I intended and cause serious collateral damage.
Okay. The burst of flame from you and the stained flame from Supay.
Flame shards?
Yeah. Hit in the middle of this demon. We get we get this nice panel with the two. Is yours demon face looking?
No, mine is just chest open.
Cool.
Coming out of my heart, essentially.
I like it. And we get the demon thing in the middle, and then these two just meeting and just this huge explosion. And we get a panel of just absolute white, just, pure blinding white, and then a panel of just black. And I think the two of us wake up sometime later, laying just on this scorched field. I think it's just eerily quiet at this point.
Yeah, I think there's purple fire kind of all around us in that, like, wreckage of a building that's just collapsed kind of look, where it's like there's not consistent walls of flame, but like little purple fires here and there, and intermingled with some like normal colored fires, some like red and yellow fires.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a single demon in sight. I think we obliterated all of them.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think as I sit up, like creaking and groaning, the iron like twisted tower,
mm-hmm.
I think that there's just chunks of it missing.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, I don't know that anyone would be able to climb up it. Fortunately, we don't have to climb up it because I can fly. So I'm going to go over to Supay and like shake them awake and be like, hey, kid.
And yeah, Supay's eyes pop open. They kind of jolt upright and look around. It's like, hey, okay, that worked. We're getting the hang of this.
I'm going to reach down and grab their hand and pull them up. I'm going to be like, all right, that was actually kind of cool. We're still not using Portal, understood?
Understood. Are you sharing a triumphant celebration?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Supay currently kind of can't. Well, when they do, if you're there, nothing happens. So.
Cool. I give them influence over me, which I don't think you had yet.
I don't believe so.
So you have influence over me, and I'm going to spend our last team and clear a box from my Doom track.
Okay.
So we're down to 0 team.
Go. Good way to start.
We're about to go fight another enemy. Like, we're about to come together to fight another enemy. Presumably. So we'll just roll again. I'm going to pull them up to their feet. I'm going to be like, you okay? You doing all right?
They kind of dust off themselves and like, yeah. So, way looks clear.
And I think we get the top-down panel of just the desolation. Where there had been like piles of rock, there is nothing. Like, it's just us, a couple like burning flames, residual flames, and then the iron tower, and that's it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I think we look up at the iron tower where there's still like melted iron dripping at certain places, like liquefied burning iron dripping down. Like, we're gonna have to be careful going forward because it's gonna be hot. I mean, you probably already knew that. You're a smart kid, but just like, it's gonna be hot, just so you know. And I think I'm shifting your labels.
What are you shifting?
I think I'm shifting mundane up and danger down.
I absolutely don't want you to shift those labels, but I'm terrified of resisting it because I have 4 conditions marked. So, yeah, I'll take it.
Cool.
You said mundane up, danger down?
Mm-hmm.
That makes every single one of my labels except superior a 0.
Wow.
Yeah, I think our next panel is us standing at the base of the tower. Yeah, somewhere, maybe not right next to it. We can decide exactly where. Kind of looking up at this tower. It's incredibly tall and imposing. There's melted gashes in it. And I think circling above, we see indistinct but large shapes.
I think we look up and we're both like silently, like communicating back and forth. Like, we have our telekinetic thing.
Right.
Telekinetically, we're linked and we're like, do you see that?
Yeah, it doesn't look friendly. I mean, well, actually, can't really see if it looks friendly, but based on everything else we've seen here, I think we can guess it's not friendly.
We are in literal hell.
Yeah.
So I'm not super optimistic. What does the entrance to the tower look like? Is there an entrance, or did we just burn a hole in and hope that's the way in?
Yeah, I don't think there is a direct entrance. Why don't we have you go ahead and roll to assess the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's 4 plus, which is a +1 minus 2, so that's a 3.
Okay. So I think we get a couple panels of us circling this tower. I don't think for circling the full tower. I think the tower's probably about like 80 or 90 feet across, like thick. But I think we get like a couple panels of us checking around, just kind of walking around, looking up at everything. And I think the tower then the tower just starts to slowly descend downward underground.
Does this look like something that we did? Is this like we melted it so bad its structure is falling apart?
I don't think we have any indication. I think it just starts happening. We don't really know what's going on. There's this heavy rumbling to the ground. It just starts slowly straight down.
Okay, cool. But it's not like it's collapsing and falling.
No, it's
to
not
the
collapsing.
earth.
It is going straight down.
Cool. Above us, probably a little higher than we'd want to go if we were flying, but it's coming down towards us, but okay. There's a melted hole in the side that we could jump through. And I'm like, okay, so if we jump through this, we're going to get stuck underground maybe. I don't know. But also, this might be our best bet to get answers. So, thoughts?
As you say that, Supay is like looking up at the hole, then we get, a panel following the gaze, and then the panel goes up a bit, and we see those flying creatures are descending downward with the tower. It's like, okay, so to add on to that, if we don't go in there, we're going to have to deal with whatever those are. And I think as they're getting closer and closer, we're starting to see they're essentially like whale-sized anglerfish with wings.
Do they have the light up ball hanging on the front of their face?
Yeah, but just to make it worse, that also has its own jaw that snaps around it. Just cause.
Love that. Love it. Hell, everyone. I look at them and I'm like, are we going in?
I think we're going in.
Great.
I don't want to deal with those.
The closest opening, if we went a quarter of the way around the tower, we could jump in sooner rather than waiting for the one right above us. So do we want to try to race and get in?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Cool. I think we're just gonna run and jump in.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that happens is we dive through right as it sinks underground, so we're plunged into darkness for a second.
I like that.
And I'm like, hey Supay, can we get a little light?
And I think we get a burst of flame in the hand. I think the darkness pulls back a bit. I think the panel was just basically Fae and Supay's face illuminated just in this very dim glow.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting heavy shadows cast everywhere, and we start hearing scratching and skittering in the room around us. It sounds like we're in a large room. It's very echoey. And I think the next panel, Supay, hearing the scratching, bursts the fire more. It's kind of a giant gout of flame.
So the fire bursts open, and I think we do see whatever that was skittering. We don't see what it is, but it scrambles away from the light, and we see back legs scrambling away. It's a multi-legged creature. There's 4 or 5 legs from each of these things. They don't look very large. They look pretty small, but scampering away. And they go duck around corners and duck behind pillars. The room that we're in looks eerily like a high school cafeteria. It's just big and empty, and there are like stone tables. But this is not like these stone tables are pretty cleanly crafted. They're not like hacked away with hammers.
Mhm.
These are like sharp corners, very like sterile looking. And I think there's probably 6 of those stone tables. And then on one edge of the room is what looks like a raised platform, almost a stage. On that is a large stone throne.
Another
Or-
detail I want to throw into the room is that on 2 sides of the room opposite, there's like grooves in the walls that have a very very heavy chain set on each side running through. And I think it's clear by looking at it from the outside, like this is the counterweight system that is being used to push this tower up and down. And we can see the chain moving as it's continuing to go down.
Mm-hmm. And I think the floor is covered in scratches, like heavy gouges, not like claw scratches, but like things have been dragged on them. Like maybe a chain has been dragged up and down this hallway, or many chains have been dragged up and down this hallway.
Okay.
And I think that there are, on the wall are murals of like humans, like crudely painted murals, but murals of humans being tortured in a bunch of settings. Very like Dante's Inferno, like boiled alive, burned, eyes clawed out, like very, very crudely painted, but graphic torture depictions.
Okay. And I think like in those we're also seeing various forms of demons. We've probably seen some that are clear representations of everything we've seen so far in this issue. And I think like astute readers will notice forms that are clearly like symbolic forms of the All-Seer.
And I think on the back wall behind the stone throne is a mural of some of the high demons, including a non-human form, like a just generic form, cloudy shape that looks like it's been kind of scratched away, so it's not super clear, but draped in chains. And then a clear depiction of Fae's demon. There are a couple other high demons up there as well, but the 2 that people would recognize are the demon that probably inhabits HR and Fae's demon, which are not the centermost demons, but like probably 2 or 3 out from the center on either side.
Yeah, and I think we get a panel of Fae looking at her demon mural. Does that feel right?
Yeah, I think we get like, we see the big wide shot, and then Fae has walked up and like puts her hand on like the leg of the mural and is standing looking at it.
Yeah, and I think our next panel is shadows falling over Fae as Supay's kind of wandering around with the light and turns back. Oh, hey, have you figured out the fire thing yet? I think it's easiest if you just think about cinnamon. I think at that statement, the fire kind of gets a little bigger in Supay's hand.
Fae snaps her fingers, and like very like Fantastic Four in the first movie has like a flame just dancing on one fingertip, and she's like, I've got it.
Whatever, you show off. And I want Supay to scout out the room.
Cool. I'll go ahead and roll to assess the situation.
So I only got a 9.
Cool. Do you want to make that a 10, or are you fine with a 9?
Up to you. Entirely on you.
I don't think we need a 10. I think one question will be fine.
Yeah. I'm going to go with what here is the biggest threat.
Yeah, so something is pulling these chains, and the chains are starting to slow down, so it feels like we're slowing in our descent, which means whatever is pulling the chains is probably on its way up.
Yeah, I think, we get a couple panels of Supay just checking out the room. We get some of the cool murals. And then I think the panel on that is Supay is standing next to one of the chains. And I think in every panel that the chains have been shown, it's shown because it's a still image. They've been shown kind of blurred to show the movement. And we get Supay like looking at the walking by the chain, and then like the chain is now distinct and it's like very slowed down. And they touch it like, I think wherever we're gonna go, where do you think this gash was? On the exposed part of the tower, like halfway up, quarter of the way up.
I would say like halfway up, yeah.
Okay.
I would say there's probably a spire above us. Like
Is there a clear way up or down from here?
the room, this is kind of a domed room. This is kind of like the last place before the spire itself starts. And so like this is the last like of the like wider section before it narrows down to needlepoint up the top. And so if you watch the claws, the claw marks like follow up the wall and go through this like smaller hole at the top. There's a smaller hole leading upwards And then I think on 3 walls of this like circular room, so 3 sides of the circular room, there are holes in the ground. I don't think there are stairs in these towers. I think everything claws.
Yeah,
their way up
that
and down.
seems. I like that. Oh, I love things explicitly designed for non-human use.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's good.
And I think we hear movement from down below. Loud movement. Aggressive. Like, it sounds like something thudding. It's still pretty far off, but it's pretty loud. And I'm like, yeah, I think we might have company.
We can ambush it. And I think we get Supay moving to like hide behind the throne.
Or we can go up. Where do we think HR would be?
Hopefully dead, but
No, he's not dead. I think she would have told me if he was dead. I'm referring to the demon inside my body.
Okay.
And I'm like, I think 3 options. Ambush, secure, leave. We could flip these stone tables, block the 3 entrances, and then I don't know that anyone could get in here. At least for a while. We could fly out, or we can go down and tackle whatever it is head on. Or attack them when they come in through this door.
I think we get a couple panels of Supay looking up through the hole in the ceiling. Is that like in the middle of the room?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I pictured that. Are the down holes on the edges?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We could try up, but there's no guarantee the whole thing isn't underground.
I've been kind of taking the lead on this one so far, and I trust you. Up or down?
Okay,
or
cool.
stay and fight?
Let's do it. And Supay just darts over and jumps down one of the holes.
Great. I'm gonna fly over and like... Do they still have their hand lit up?
Yeah, it's probably flickering a lot as they're running, but yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna fly over to them as they like jump down. Are they fully gone? Have they dropped?
I think so.
Cool.
I think it was a snap decision. Okay, let's do this, and just jump down the hole.
Great.
I think we get a couple panels of Fae being like, what the...
I'm gonna look down and turn demon eyes on, because the demon will be accustomed to the darkness, and I want to see what the demon sees.
Okay.
Did Supay land in the middle of a fight is really what I'm asking. Or can I jump down? Will I be okay?
I think looking down, you see that there's holes lined up straight down quite a few floors. And Supay has dropped like 4 or 5 floors and he's like hanging on one of the edges. Like kind of looks up at you, and then I think at that point you just see a giant mouth coming up at Supay. What do you do?
I'm going to telekinetically just reach down and just yank them up through the holes.
Cool, go ahead and unleash your powers.
Cool. That's a 6.
You yank Supay. And I think it would have worked perfectly, but the mouth extends upward and just swallows Supay whole. And then continues barreling upwards towards you.
Great. As it gets like right up on top of me, I'm going to open a portal and go into it. And grab Supay. Like, I'm in a portal, like, into throat area.
Okay.
And, like, just judge based on where I think Supay might have been.
Cool.
And grab them and be like, fire now.
Okay, so go ahead and spin the doom. Give us the panel what the portal looks like. So, to put more perspective on this mouth as it's getting closer, I imagine the hole is about...
Yeah, I would say probably a yard across.
Yeah. So imagine a tentacle.
Okay.
That is slightly smaller than that. And just has a giant mouth at the end.
I was thinking kind of alien style of like, there's probably like a mouth, like a proper mouth on whatever the monster is at the bottom. And this is the secondary mouth.
Yeah, we're just seeing like the tongue mouth.
As the thing comes launching towards me, I think the air right in front of its mouth turns into that glass stuff, like as it's coming out the air, like above it. And I think I jumped down into the portal where its mouth was like reaching up. So like it's about to grab me. I jump and it looks like I'm jumping into the mouth and then I disappear into the throat.
Cool.
So it's like it takes a bite and I am no longer there, but it doesn't get anything like fun and satisfactory because I portaled down like 15 feet directly down, landing inside the throat.
Do you still have fire going?
I still have fire in my hand, like on my finger.
It's dark, it's wet, and everything, all the walls are moving. It's not a tight squeeze, but is not roomy.
Mm-hmm.
And, looking down, you can't see very far, but you could easily make your way down if you wanted.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna, like, take my hand and make it as much fire as possible. In fact, I'm gonna take both hands and just, like, fill the room with smoke. fill the throat with smoke and try to like get it to cough.
Cool. I want you to directly engage.
That's a 10 plus 1. That's an 11.
Pick 2.
I think I'm going to take something from it. I'm going to take Supay.
Okay.
And I'm going to resist or avoid its blows.
Okay. As the fire burns hotter and hotter in your hands, it starts to violently thrash from side to side, and we get the smoke filling the throat of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think our next panel is back up at the mouth end of it. I think it's pulled down another level, and then we just get a violent cough, and Faye falls out and kind of slides across the floor, and a much more slimy Supay is deposited out and slides across the floor, kind of ending right where Faye is, and then we get the mouth tentacle just retract quickly all the way down. And Supay kind of props themselves up on their elbows, like, did that just eat me?
I think I'm going to like wipe my face clean. Inside one of the pockets of the sweatshirt, I've got like a clean Kleenex, like a pack of Kleenex, and I like pull one out, and I'm like, yeah, and I hold it out to you. Hey, next time we agree to jump down multi-levels, let's try not to jump into a monster's mouth.
I'll make a note. Add it to the list.
I think I laugh, and I'm like, come here. I like give him a hug.
As we get the panel of you laughing, we get a panel of Supay who has been pulling a small notebook out of their pocket, shoves it back in. And I think they really lean into this hug. Like, they're trying to play it cool, but that was terrifying.
I think this is a comforter support. Nope. 6 plus 1 minus 2. That's a 5. I think it actually does the opposite effect of comforting and supporting. I think not like it upsets. I think it just like, I think Supay kind of breaks down. I think that was really, really scary.
Yeah.
I think Supay starts crying.
I'm cool with that.
In my arms. And I'm like, I don't know how to handle tears. I never have known how to handle tears. Tears aren't my thing. I'm usually the crier, and other people comfort me. And I'm just like holding, and you can see the look of sheer panic on my face as Supay is just like shuddering in my arms. And then I'm like, so let's go find HR, yeah?
We get like a sniffle and like a wipe at the back of the hand across the eyes, and yeah. So, up or down?
We went down one level.
Yeah, in the end, that's where we ended up.
Cool. Well, let's check this level out, and then we'll keep going down.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Huth and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at Icy New Year or at icynewyear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. They can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter or TPHuth94 on Instagram. This issue was GM'd by me, Anthony Sheets, and Faye was played by T Huth. The music for this issue was Halls of the Undead by Kevin MacLeod. A link to the license and his website will be in the show notes. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or on Patreon at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please consider leaving us a review on iTunes and recommending it to friends. Word of mouth is really the best way for us to bring these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out on patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus episodes each month. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.